through the work and my own work in seeing the impact of trauma, both historical trauma as well as contemporary trauma, looking at the impact of other kinds of substance abuse and things like that in our communities, and just trying to contextualize that in a way that made sense but didn't pathologize our communities at the same time. And that moved me really quickly into historical trauma work, because that provided a more deep understanding of the context by which sometimes not healthy coping arises in communities. So some things that we call, some even communities will even call cultural, actually aren't cultural at all, but they're really a historical trauma response. And so I started trying to disentangle and understand some of that to make more sense, and eventually led to just trying to document it as a researcher, because a lot of people are saying, well, there's no such thing as historical trauma. There's no evidence that there is impact. That still persists to this day. And, you know, so I spent most of my career looking at documenting that. And then once I documented that, then, you know, as our community said, well, now what? You know, how do we get beyond this? And, you know, we live in a society that still is oppressive and still doesn't recognize our sovereignty fully, and our land rights and our treaty rights and so forth. And so it's not about trying to design interventions that are like Bobo dolls, where you kind of just, I don't know if you remember those little clown dolls that you would punch and they'd fall down, and then you bounce right back up just to be punched again. So that's not the resilience model we wanted to develop. So we're trying to find models that really build on our sovereignty, build on our original teachings, our ancient knowledges, that focuses on restoring relational ways of being in the world, because that's what colonization does. It disrupts our relational ways of being. And narrative transformation, you know, really thinking about how we talk about ourselves and how we treat each other, how that really matters. So most of our interventions have been designed with those three elements in mind.